well. So the point being, I'm not trying to make up some rationalist, but I'm just saying like the evidence stacks up where those things weren't necessarily there. So hopefully that answers the questions for the person who paid those donos.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I hope you didn't get pissed at me like last year when I wasn't heavy on your case, but I was like, come on, Ashton.
Well, let me put it like this, man. Obviously, what I'm saying is fucking impossible, right? And I'm a rational guy that realized going into this, like, you're going to have people that get angry, people that are sure that the videos are fake and what have you. So all I can really do, I don't even like arguing about it, because it's like, look, I'm just going to say they're real. I know they're real. And I'm going to point to things that will ideally be proven in the future. And you guys are on it. Like the plasma stuff, Eric W. Davis, you guys know the right people. The problem is, it's like, ask yourself this. Eric Davis, for example, gave away some information that he was working on those black projects in like the early 2000s and maybe even the 90s. Look at what papers he was writing during those years. He was writing ball lightning study and teleportation physics study while he was for Air Force Research Labs, while he's working on black projects. You think that's a coincidence?
Yeah, I think Eric Davis is pretty freaking smart.
And now he's sitting in the middle of this thing like he's like a fucking celebrity, and Anna Polina Luna is looking like she wants to like jerk him off. Like, come on. Like, obviously, if you read between the lines here, they figured some shit out, you know, and he's the main guy. And the question you should ask yourself is, what is he not saying? He's talking about the 5 different types of aliens, and, you know, Hal Puthoff will talk about remote viewing for 2 hours with Joe Rogan. But are they talking about free energy? Are they talking about cold fusion? Are they talking about how to stabilize a ball of plasma? Are they talking about teleportation?
They're
not talking about any of that, right?
None of it.
But that would all be national security, right?
Talking about for 15 years. It's what I've been working on and talking about. It's the real stuff, and that's what Ashton has been finding and also correlating. And it's like everything Ashton has put forward so far in your MH370 investigation, like Edward Lynn. Like, if it was bunk, why hasn't he come out or sued Ashton? Why has he changed his name and moved and avoided, right? Like, there's just so many other bigger things. And then there's, why is every single one of the fake mainstream media UFO gatekeepers like Corbell, like Cold Heart, all of them instantly, they just say, oh, there was the cloud pictures. It's the Mockingbird media, their straight go-to thing, and then just, oh, don't pay attention to Ashton, he's just a grifter. When you look into his work, it's the exact same stuff, science, we've been putting forward and working on for the last 2 decades. So, you know, that's just
if we got Ross on here, we would eat him alive. That guy doesn't know a damn thing. He just interviews people.
And here's the thing,
he's just gotten into this in the last, like, what, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Good luck, buddy. It takes like 25 years, 30 years to figure out what the hell's actually partially what's going on. How about it, Jeremy?
Well,
how long have we been doing this, bro? I met you in like 2007, and I had already been doing it in the early 90s.
We're OGs, man, and because of us, we're able to accelerate newcomers that are do
right. So
right
here's one last thing to tie it together. You are the OGs. You guys were Ed Fouché. Ed Fouché was the TR3B, and then it's like, why was Cold Heart always pushing, and Jeremy Corbell, they were always pushing the Orbs before Ashton Forbes came along. Now they no longer do that. And then now they're all of a sudden, before they were always against the TR3B, and now, oh, it's 2 triangles. And so it's the flip. Yeah. Why is it? And it all, that's no freaking coincidence.
Let me tell you something about knowing Ed Fouché. Just recently, just like when Jeremy will tell you this, all 3 of our computers would go out at once. Jeremy's would go, mine would go, Ed's would go, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they, Jeremy? They would just go. I had 2 computers blow up.
I think they were listening to and monitoring all our conversations with that.
I had 2 computers blow up
before I drop. Is that so? My evaluation has been that for you guys, like the reason why I come on these podcasts and streams is because, like, I think you guys have been figuring out the science way before me, you know, and credit to you guys on all that. I think that you just didn't know what is the end goal, like what is it that they actually have that's real versus what's just make believe, and how would you know? There's no way to know exactly, right? And I came in
why we have the labs.
And I came in and I found the answers from those videos of, okay, this is what they have, but I don't know what it means, how it works, how do you get there, right? And start working backwards, and we just kind of converged in the middle, and then and that's how we kind of done this stuff. And for me, the reason why it seems like I'm like a spook is because I've basically realized that early on this was a propaganda war, and I'm just going to play like it's counter intel, which is, okay, what are their narratives? Okay, it's aliens, whatever. What's the counter narrative? Oh, well, how's that UFO flying around? So my last point is that's one of the most powerful ones, because to Bernie's point about Bob Lazar and everyone else, there is no conventional source of fuel that you're going to conventionally fly from here to the Andromeda galaxy in a small craft. There's just no space for it because of E=mc². It doesn't matter what your fuel source is unless it's magic fairy farts, right?
How do you keep from running into something also? That's another thing people never talk about. You get larger as you keep going. The faster you go, the larger you get.
Yes, exactly. So that's what stops everything. So the point is, there must be
something. There's another form of travel, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of what I say here. I think it has something to do with going through the ocean. I really do, because there's something tied into the ocean. How do we know there's not an inner Earth? How do we know there's not?
All right, you're going way too deep, man. You guys have way too much.
Keep fighting those narratives.
You don't have a lot of time. I just want to say, this is what I want to say. We have to be skeptical, everyone. I'm going to mean, you know, I'm always skeptical of everything. There's so much disinfo in this space. You have to just ask questions about who's who and who is everyone in this whole mix, and how do who's working for who, and are we inadvertently pointing people in the wrong direction, wrong information. So I think it's key that, don't get caught up in these conversations about the videos. Focus on those scientists and the scientists that were on the board, those planes, and the science are the strongest key to breaking this case and actually getting somewhere and getting to the bottom of it. I've always said that. I've always, said I'm never going to win the debate over the videos or any of the other more esoteric stuff on this channel. It's not where and that's the infighting that wrecked 9/11 Truth. I want to talk. I talk about this. The same methods that they used to destroy 9/11 Truth, they're using to destroy your Mh370 Truth, and they used it to destroy these hearings with the UAP Truth by the people that they put in charge there. I watched it all happen. I've lived through it for 20 years, and I'm trying to share that information and that warning, because you don't want to get lost in that infighting and getting lost in those things, or that's just going to tear everything apart, and everyone's going to lose sight of the nuggets of truth that exist and all this stuff, which is the technology that we're after, which is very fucking real. And they killed those Marconi scientists. They killed Eugene Malov and many others over the technology, and they put out massive amounts of disinformation to hide the real technology. So yeah, we're in quite of a mess right now trying to resolve all this. And I thank you for your efforts in the information war. And the best way to prove you're not a disinfo agent is to get me on your damn channel soon for a recap, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Maybe, actually, I was planning on having you come on next. So I want to do some more stuff with other content creators and help just, spread awareness in general and get people's names out there.
The key way to get through the censorship, the algorithms, and the shadow banning is by the multi-streaming this stuff and multi-publishing it and just getting the real science out there. And anything that's real can handle scrutiny. That's the point. And you don't crumble so far. It hasn't crumbled, and it keeps coming under scrutiny. So anything you work on, especially cold fusion, alchemy, myself, like average person, that's wackadoo. But you put the science, you put the results first, and it stands up.
Yeah, no. Well, the other thing too is a lot of people would rather correct you and feel smart than go up against something where they can't really correct you and don't feel smart, right? So that's why I think the videos, the argument have attracted so many people, because they're like, oh, I know video editing, and this is and they have some kind of hill that they can stand on in the whole fight and win a couple battles on the battlefield. But really, the truth remains far in the distance if they're not going after the scientists and the companies like I mentioned, Blackstone Group. Important to mention those guys, and that Blackstone Group has ties to 9/11 and the whole insurance scam at the World Trade Center. So
I would like to put forward one challenge, and it's for the Mh370 Ashton debunk. If you want to claim to debunk Ashton's case, legally debunk that Edward Lynn is not the leaker or involved with that whistleblower. Because until you do that, that doesn't come under scrutiny. You don't pass the scrutiny test because that needs to be taken into account.
Great point. Thank you, Bernie. And last thing I thought about as well was chasing the science is the answer anyway. That's why that's why every day I'm not posting about MH370 is real, whatever, right? Because, you know, what am I really getting at? I think we can get ahead of the fusion breakthrough, because I think the fusion breakthrough never was going to be hot fusion. It's going to be a version of cold fusion, and they're not going to give us like the real deal. They're going to give us a gimped version of it, and we can get ahead of it. And we might actually be able to manipulate the markets by showing that, like, no, they've shown, like, just taking their schematics, we can show they could do it better, and they're just not, right? We'll be able to show shit like that. Or like with brilliant light power, their UV ray stuff, I think there's a huge clue in finding out that that flash is like ultraviolet or soft X-ray, because it means that Alcubierre warp drive is like the right thing to be focused in on. So anyway, thank you guys for having me on tonight.
Hey, real quick, Ashton, I got 2 real quick questions for you. Are you going to be at the Bob Lazar? Are you going to be at the Bob Lazar thing if it takes place? Because now it's been moved back to July.
Any plans for conferences? Anything planned for the summer or the fall?
Oh, I'm doing the Cosmic Summit. I'll be there. At
Me
the
and
nice.
You're not going? I figured you'd be there. Me and Michael Schratt will be there.
Second question.
I'll be at Contact in the Desert too. So.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, I'm going to be at several things, so we can hang out if you guys are going to be at any of this stuff.
That would be awesome. I'll bring you one of the Pokeballs, the Pokemon. Balls.
Oh yeah, I want one of those. That's awesome. I'll put it in my bag somewhere here. So okay, guys, have a great night.
Totally.
Yeah, you too, Ashton. Cool talking to you, man.
Oh, that was good for him to jump on, man. Yeah, I'm
right.
He's a pretty good dude.
Jeremy Corbell, Lou Elizondo, you talk shit about them and they're in the chat. They will hide. They will run. They will never jump on the stream and take
stand by their truth.
Bro, I'm going to be hanging out with Gene Huff. I'm going to be rolling with Gene Huff at the Bob Lazar movie.
See,
that's going to really be funny, isn't it?
Bob Lazar is so essential to your guys' stuff is because you know the science and debunk the shit out of it. Like your website.
I'm going to meet him.
The website.
I know the science, and he knows the whole like story and all the people and
Gene Huff is going to take me back to meet Bob. Bob Lazar said he likes watching my questions, and he found that that my one question about the element 115, known as LA 1000, melting at 1750 degrees. He found that I asked him a question. I called him on the phone. I said, hey, I want to talk to Bob Lazar. It was kind of arranged. I said, I have one question for you. I said, if Jeremy, what's that? What's the term for when the atomic explosion takes place inside the
thermonuclear reactor? It was thermionic. He said it was. He used a lot of words. Science.
It's called something, but it takes 2 million degrees to do it. It's the damn it. Anyways, inside that reactor, you have element 115. Element 115 bumps up to element 116.
Exactly.
When it bumps up to element 116 is when all the power is released.
There is unsustainable amounts of energy, just like hot fusion, right? Don't ever go for that.
Well,
but don't look for cold fusion, and that's the whole point of it.
Bob says it's what Bob says it is. He says it's 2 million degrees, and you look it up. It's 2 million degrees. It's I can't remember the damn word for it now, and I have that stuff in the back of my brain.
I would just like to say one thing, and I'll shut up and leave because I have to actually get back to our Free Energy Friday League of Extraordinary Inventors stream with we got Steve Ellswick on and a bunch of other guys. But point being is that Bob Lazar, Jeremy Cowbell, Lou Elizondo, Ross Colhart, they are all fake as fuck compared to at least Ashton. You challenge and he comes on. None of those have ever addressed and come on any of your streams for the 10 years you've been doing it. So until
he never went to Congress.
That's just, they don't pass that test, at least This guy is able to address things, right? That's all I'm going to say.
That Congress
nuclear isomers are well known, so it's possible. I mean, the hafnium jumps up to element one element and down an element in the process of this reflection of the generation of the gamma rays. It's actually part of the
that can happen, right?
So it does happen, and it is related to classified nuclear stuff that they were working on. I mean, this was H-bomb secrets and stuff. He might have known or heard some of this stuff. So it's interesting. There's a lot of real physics and a lot of weird stuff that's classified, woven into the Bob Lazar stuff.
I think a lot of what he learned was at Los Alamos.
Yeah, stuff that he learned.
He was working with geniuses, and they were coming over to his little brothel, you know, and stuff. And he had a lot of friends.
Yeah, he was a popular guy with his rocket car, driving around Los Alamos and talking, like, you know, the physics talk with tons of people. He talked shop with a lot of people, and he's also the United Nuclear guy. If you needed materials or you needed stuff,
$175 posters, bullshit though. When people say he doesn't make money off that damn story, that's a lie. Because listen, that kid said some days he packs 100 signed posters at $175 a piece. Oh my God, think about that. That's what, $10,750 in one day, but you're not making any money off of it. Then a signed picture of him himself is, I think, 125. I was showing Michael Schratt this the other night. Michael Schratt was in shock. I'm like, look at the price of an Area 50 mug, Area 51 mug, and all this stuff. He's making money off this stuff.
Yeah.
It's all bullcrap when he says he doesn't make money. That kind of aggravates me. Well, no, it aggravates the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Look, there's your mugs, $20. That costs what? $3 in China. And then the shipping is always outrageous. Now he's not in Michigan anymore. He's in Oregon.
Well, anyways, I mean, we'll have to get Bob on, and if you meet him, we'll do a live interview at the
Jeremy, not many people are following these videos from Luigi. Listen, that one video has been out for 2 months, and it's only got like 18,000 views. I'm totally stunned by it. And I think it was because of that story when Carol Nadine Elzinger, his real first wife, not Tracy Merck, his first wife, when they found out she was arrested and did 6 years in state prison for murder, Bob cannot get, since he married her, there is no possible way he can get a top secret clearance. I know this for a fact because you have to go through what's called a, oh man, not an FBI check, SBI check, a specialized background check. And if your wife's a convicted felon, especially one that was convicted of second-degree murder and did 6 years in state prison, you are not getting a clearance. I don't give a shit who you are. And she was arrested for that in the 70s.
Yeah, all that stuff that came out on Papoose Lake, you know.
Yeah, and then what's his name? Gabriel, what's his name? Zeifman or whatever, flew right over the spot. It's like, oh my God.
It's so obvious when they dangle this stuff out in your face, and it's so out in the open and everywhere, and it's the first thing you find. And if you ask anyone at the UFO convention what's the key to anti-gravity, they say element 115. You know that is the disinfo. That is how the CIA operates. They want what everyone believes and what everyone echoes to be the bullshit. That's exactly.
I was told they took a group of those people out there. The one, what's that? The guy from Tennessee, the congressman from Tennessee, that's really into this stuff, man.
Burchett, yeah,
Tim Burchett. I heard that Tim Burchett and like 5 other people went out to Papoose Lake, and there was absolutely nothing there. I was told this from somebody. I'm not going to say who because they'll probably get really pissed off. And I believe this story's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's such misdirection and distraction. We've proven that there's 2 S4s were real classified locations.
And one's where they made the B-2 bomber. Isn't that something?
Yeah, so they must have they wove these top secret elements in the story, misdirected people to this other secret base, and I think that's when they moved all the stuff out of Area 51 and moved it elsewhere to like San Clemente Island and Antarctica and a number of other stations that are
Diego Garcia.
Yeah, Diego. Yeah, far away from prying eyes and stuff. And if they got an operation going on Diego Garcia, it would make sense that they disappeared those scientists and brought them there.
And that would make, that would make sense if Bob was a disinformation agent to have all these S4s to confuse everybody. Think about that. We have one at Totopatas Range, and the other one is at Plant 42 Palmdale. And I was so stunned to see that in Jim Goodall's book, and Jim Goodall never mentioned that. And I know Jim Goodall. It's like I called Michael Schratt up. I got a hold of you that one day. I said, look what that says under the B-2 bomber or the the B-2 bomber line. What does that say? It says the S4 facility. I'm like, are you kidding me? How many S4s are there?
Yeah, well,
it must mean something. I mean,
the facilities that they got out here, man.
Yeah, look how blocked out it is, or is that water?
I mean, this facility right here is the ground-based electro-optical deep space surveillance center on Diego Garcia. So
I know. I heard that place is Ed's the first place I ever mentioned Diego Garcia.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at these phased arrays. These hexagon arrays of phased antenna systems.
Wow.
They got something going on out there, and that's a big phased array system that looks
my God.
That looks like the airplane.
Well, look how tall it must be off the ground. I mean,
imagine if this is where they warp the plane to. They have
in the shape of a plane also. Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah, man, this is weird stuff what they do with these phased
God,
arrays.
I got chills like running through my body right now.
Yeah, they got some crazy shit going on at Diego Garcia, man, and I wouldn't be surprised if that. I mean, they got these are munition storage bunkers. They got apparently a bunch of nukes and other stuff out there, ICBMs that they can launch from here.
Oh yeah, I heard they can take the world over from that one island.
Yeah, they got so much shit there. This is a power station, or so it looks like.
No, absolutely. You can see the cooling towers.
I think I'm not
all
sure.
Them round things.
Looks like cooling and ventilation. It might be a huge underground facility, but again, you can't. The water table's right there, so you can't do too much underground here.
Oh, who knows, Jeremy? They built freaking Dubai, so they built Dubai. I mean, sure they can. Sure they can do something there. Sure they've done something there.
It's anyways. The airfield up here and the whole facilities, the barracks and other. It's quite a place.
Fighter jets. Is there any like F-35s or F-22s or? I would think it'd be loaded with it, but then again, the weapons they probably have on the ground, they don't need any fighter jets there.
They got better stuff.
Yeah. Like a laser that travels, or that thing that travels at the speed of light to just disintegrate ships that they've been talking about.
Quite a bit of stuff they got out.
I want to see that thing, man. But
and these are this is another like Pine Gap. Look at these domes. Look at the size of that dome.
I know. They're radar domes.
The power
look at all them in a row.
The power that these
look at the size one. I don't think I've ever seen a radar dome that big before, man.
Amazing, huh? What's the width on this? Hold up, I want to see.
Looks like a football stadium. Get the size of that son of a bitch. Look at the shadow it leaves. I mean,
100-foot. 100-foot radius diameter. Oh, it's 50-foot radius.
You sure it doesn't say 1,000? Oh yeah, 100 foot. Yeah,
100 foot. It's crazy.
It looks bigger than that.
That 1,000 foot would be massive. That would be bigger.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was thinking more the size of like a like a football field, like 300 feet.
Yeah, that'd be huge, like a football stadium.
Now what's that? That's like containment stuff, sewage,
like tailing ponds or sewage treatment. But yeah, I gotta wrap this up, man. It's been a good stream, and thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, man.
We need to get together and do this more often because things are getting crazy, man.
They're getting man. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense.
It's almost like the government's at a civil war with itself, and it's like the overseers, the Illuminati, are very real. The New World Order is very real, because you got that Tim Burchett, man. He's working so hard at this. I respect the hell out of that guy. And I think Chris Mellon has stuff he wants to say that he can't. Now, I do want to say something too. People give Tim Gallaudet a lot of shit because Tim Gallaudet never was an admiral in a warship or something like that. No, you know what he was? He was an oceanographer, but he was an admiral. The guy is extremely smart when it comes to the ocean, and the stuff he's seen that he can't talk about, I'd love to know, because he was constantly being shown stuff that was like, hey, look at this fast mover underwater, and stuff was going at incredible speeds underwater, you know.
Well, anything else you want to show?
No, I just think that people should pay more attention to Gallaudet.
I'll have to check him out.
I've watched everything he's done, and I think that some of the stuff he says is just absolutely amazing. He talks about gigantic UAPs underwater going 800 knots, which is, I forget how many miles per hour, but it's insane. But people have been giving him a bad rap, and I don't understand why. He's got NDAs and all kinds of stuff. Guy doesn't want to go to jail, but he knows more about the ocean than probably any of these people on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the ocean.
Absolutely, and there's stuff he wants to say, and he said it already, and he said, I got to watch myself. I can't. Not like Lou Elizondo that just says that on purpose every other sentence.
Did you see what Lou Elizondo put out, man?
No. I saw him today for like 8 minutes, but I didn't watch it. What did he do?
He released another classified UFO picture. You know, remember how he did this one?
The fake one above his house?
Yeah. Well, let's find it. I think it's on X, because I'm not seeing it coming up on here. But
was it? Yeah, it was today, right? I didn't see it. I just saw him standing there.
This is the photo, and it took less than 24 hours before someone found the exact place on Google Earth where the photo was taken.
I was going to say what that is probably two piles of dirt, right? Because remember that happened at Area 51. They said, oh my God, look, here's a UFO above the ground, and then below it was a black thing, and the guy walked over and took a picture of it. Remember that, Jeremy? We had that guy walk, or somebody we knew. David Hilton did it. David Hilton got that guy to walk over and take the pictures. It was a pile of stones that were black on one part, and then next to it was a pile of lighter colored stones. Remember that?
Yeah, it looked like a UFO.
That was hilarious, man, because we embarrassed everybody that was involved in that.
Optical illusions and stuff. But check this out. It's called center pivot irrigation. And if you ever float an aircraft, you'll see these circles everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And
well, that's like farmland. They have that stuff right next to area, right next to
farmland, and it's a big giant. There's a water supply in the center somewhere, and they hook up these giant wheeled sprinklers. It's like a giant sprinkler, and it goes in a big giant circle, man. And it looks like a huge circle. But that's what, you know, two of these. One's a brown. You know, this is like darker soil.
Well, I imagine if you're out in the desert, that's how they feed themselves. Let's think about that, or feed the cattle.
There's tons of farmland out there, so this is how they make viable farmland.
Jeremy, you know what's really been coming out lately? I watch, I love watching the Navy SEAL stuff and shit like that, right? You have no idea how much training them guys did out at Groom Lake for first the Bin Laden raid and many other raids. And when I say Groom Lake, they were Dogbone Dry Lake. If you ever go to Dogbone Dry Lake, there's all these mosques and stuff that are fake mosques that they would train and go in and do like like go in and raid the place and stuff like that. We're talking like SEAL Team 6. We're talking Devonbury, right?
Yeah, well, what they would do is they'll make a mock-up version of Bin Laden's compound, and then
they did that in North Carolina. Go to the right and go over to Dogbone Lake and go to the southern end of it, and you will see. You got to go to the right. You got to go way over. That's not Dogbone Lake. Well, they might have stuff there too now, also. Over there to the right. Now go to the very south end of it. Now go to the very south end of it. Keep going south, actually. Yeah, they have moss, all kinds of stuff. Keep going south.
Model test city, the Dogbone Lake model.
There we go. Look, do you see that one that's a mosque right there to the left of where you're at? Just over to the left and down a little bit. You can see the round top. It's a fake mosque.
Yep, they build all these fake buildings out of shipping containers, and they're
trained for close quarter combat. I know a guy that was there.
Yep, a lot of this is set up like certain real locations in other countries. So or
actually exact locations. They would practice for they would do what they're called workups. There's a lot more there than there was before.
Oh yeah, they build all this shit. That's awesome.
Cool. Yes, guy was telling me about this. Guy was telling me about this. He said there's a guy that were hurt really bad out there flying out. They wrecked helicopters and everything out there, man. But they wanted to do it there because it was the closest they could get to Afghanistan because of the mountain ranges, the desert location, the environment. It's cold at night. It's hot as hell during the day. Look at that. Just imagine that. I mean,
oh yeah, crazy.
Yeah, the Bin Laden compound was identical. They had that in North Carolina, and they tore it down. I wish they should have left the damn thing up, but that lady that found him is just amazing. I know. I don't think you believe the story, do you? I know. I don't.
Well, I want to get going here tonight.
All right, bro.
It's late. I want to shut this down, but yeah, we got to do more streams like this. That was awesome that Ashton jumped on and joined us, man.
Man, he's really gotten popular. I'm so shocked. When he first came on, I laughed. I'm like, man, how can that guy tell that's not fake? But what if it isn't?
I don't have the expertise to really, and I'm not going to hang my head on one thing or the other. It did have some skepticism about it at first and stuff, but there's just so many weird things about the timing and how it was put out.
And then when you watch Ed talk, it makes you really wonder.
Ed talks about that on the, they talk about the plasma orbs on the friggin' SR-71. That was in 1998, bro. And,
I know.
And technology that they were just starting to work on at the time. So it's in line with some stuff, man. And I think that is.
Remember the two SR-71 pilots that Ed named?
Yeah.
They're still alive. I talked to one.
They are.
Nuh-uh. Yeah. Yes, they are.
I want to talk.
Yes, they are. I talked to one of them. He verified that what Ed said was true. He said he was sick for like 3 weeks. After having, and he just said an encounter. He didn't say exactly what Ed said. He said after having an encounter, someone I know got me in touch with him. I'll just put it that way. Someone that's old that was in the Air Force for like a long time. You could probably guess who it is.
Yeah.
He knew exactly who I was talking about. Got me in touch with him. He goes, "That was a really good friend of mine." He said, "All I can tell you was the encounter made me sick for like 3 weeks." He said my head was like pounding, and then that's when I said, "Oh, the bees in the brain syndrome type thing."
Yeah,
that's what's happening to these pilots that are flying F-35s and F-22s. They're getting sick, and it's the UAPs will not attack. They'll attack you, or whatever's coming off of them, radiation, who knows, is making them sick. Something is.
It's amazing that Ed talked about all this back then, and that
but he's a liar, right? To
story.
Corbell and them, you guys listening, explain this, because now you jerks are talking about this. Fuckers. Pisses me off.
Yeah, the whole thing's a big mess. But you know, I'm glad that Ashton is getting information out there on some of the science and stuff, and I hope that
guy's kicking ass. I'll tell you that much. I don't understand hardly anything he talks about, or you, because I'm not a scientist, but I can do the research part of it, you know.
Yep, I like doing the research, and there's so many cool stuff to research these days. But yeah, as long as we keep pushing on the science path and getting people to fact check this, we'll be able to sort out the disinformation from the real information in all this. And I think that's literally the game here.
I'll get Michael Schrad on here. We all have our own specialties, but that guy right there is on another level of anybody else when it comes to UFO cases. I don't care what anybody says. There's no one that even comes close to him. I talk to him twice a day. I'm going to call him here in a little bit. He just moved to New Mexico. To be next to the UFO, the National UFO Center, is just unbelievable. He moved there. Yeah. The guy, I'll try to get him on next week. He didn't want to come on this week for some reason, but he just moved there Easter weekend. So I'm going to be going out there pretty soon. So ought to be pretty cool, you know.
Ashton does a decent job with the science. I really should do more science. I should do more science. I just don't have the time anymore, like the patience. You know, it's just I'm burnt out on a lot of this stuff. So it's like old news to me, and it's like I've been telling people the same thing.
Know. Why do you think I took 2 years off, Jeremy? Now I'm reignited. I'm like I'm all over the place, man. Hey, by the way, I'm still thrown off of Twitter. Why did that happen that day? I never did anything wrong.
I think there was a purge, you know, right before the Skywatchers shit dropped big. I got purged, and a number of accounts like us got purged, man, because I think that we were really making too much waves on calling out the disinfo ops and the psyops as they emerged. And
I can't get Alex Jones on there.
I saw those Skywatchers guys. They were out at this conference, and you know they like.
Oh, that was awesome. Like we have helicopters.
They're showing pictures of freaking migratory birds and saying that they're like a certain type of UFO and that they were supposed to have the best cameras, the best equipment. They were going to get the real evidence of UFOs and
they were birds as guys in the helicopter. The guy in the helicopter.
Man, they showed some videos. Everything was blurry or crap, and they're like trying to they're fronting and saying that they have all these types classified and that they have different dog whistles for each type of UFO, and they know what civilization and star system they're from, and all this crap. And it was just like, man, this is like.
I saw you simulcasted it. Well, that pissed me off.
I don't know what the heck is. Yeah, I simulcasted that. I couldn't actually. He wouldn't let me record and simulcast his presentation. I didn't get to I didn't get to record. No one was allowed to, because I asked him for permission beforehand. He's like, "Nah, no one can record this."
Well, I wouldn't have. If you paid to get in there, I wouldn't have paid. I wouldn't have asked him shit. Public.
No, it's private. You pay.
Wow, man. Because he was saying there were 4 UFOs, and he was saying if you watch, the one will come up through here and there. And sometimes
they have this
birds.
dog whistle, but it's classified. They can't teach people how to do the dog whistle that supposedly calls these UFOs, or that they have certain psychics that work for the team. And we all did an experiment. We all went up to the deck of the USS Hornet, this aircraft carrier, and there's about fucking 40 of us people up there, and we're all trying to summon UFOs, you know, with our mental brainwaves. Danny Sheen was up there too for a little while, and Jesse Martin. Nothing showed up, man. Nothing. We a couple guys started flying their toy drone around after a while because they got bored. Nothing happening, and it's a shame, but you know,
I know the guy was at one point saying we need more money, and that's when I was like, okay, maybe this is a scam, you know.
Yeah, man. Anything that is allowed to get really big really fast, I get skeptical of, which is why I understand, you know, the points people were bringing up about Ashton earlier, you know, and I was like, you know, how is this guy getting on these big shows and doing this stuff? But, you know, Ashton's not like those guys who like Jeremy Corbell will never, ever name drop us, like ever.
No, he won't. Remember, he said, I'm the only guy that makes him scratch his head about Bob Lazar. Do you remember he said that?
More like pull his fucking hair out, bro.
Because I would just rip him apart on every single thing he'd bring up, and it would piss him off so bad. He goes, skepticism is great. And then he'd be like, that he mentioned my name. He's like, he's the only one that makes me want to pull my hair out. Remember that? That was so funny. You and I were laughing. He met me and you. He just didn't want to say your name.
Yeah, he knows. You know, he won't even give us that attention.
He won't even talk about Bob anymore because Gene Huff cut him and them cut him out of this new thing's gonna blow his. Hopefully, will blow his thing out of the water. Know, it was funny that Luigi said the other day. He goes, I want to tell you something. He goes, this film we're doing, you'll see 95% of Bob Lazar instead of a guy sitting on a toilet. He goes, and 5% of Bob Lazar. He goes, we filmed Bob Lazar almost the whole time. And I guarantee you that is under Jeremy Corbell's skin so freaking bad. It's got to be. Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be eating him alive.
And the award for worst shill in the universe goes to Corbell. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. Keep up the good fight. Keep calling out these fake shills in the mainstream media and their stooges, and we're gonna get the truth out one way or the other, even if all 200 of us.
Real quick, hey Corbell, if you're watching, man, you're getting old looking, bro. All of a sudden, you look like you're 65 years old, man. What's going on with you? Did you notice that? His hair is totally gray. His beard's totally gray. His hair's falling out. It's probably all this bullshit he's putting out, and people getting 1 million emails a day from his fanboys.
Oh, yeah. Well, he probably knows that he's getting all this popularity, which he knows is astroturfed and not legitimate. And then he looks, and whenever he reads all the actual comments, it's people that watch our stuff and are like, "This is fucking garbage." And we know we're probably getting actually like 1,000 people watching us live with the amount of comments and the engagement and everything. You know, they're nerfing the numbers totally just to
absolutely. The bastards wouldn't even give you a plaque at 100,000. And where are you at? 100? How many people do you have now signed on?
115, but man, it's hard every one, and I get people sign off all the time, and then they get the trolls that will come in and be like, oh, this guest is terrible, and you know, just like try to turn everybody off on all the information and all the personalities, all the people that are involved in the truth out.
Believe me, I've been through it. I've had all my computers destroyed. I'm telling you, man, as soon as I got back into this, I was on a podcast one night. Both my computers blew up at once. I'm not bullshitting you. I got a brand new one sitting here on the floor. That one I have to take back. It's very expensive. It's $4,000. I can't get it running for some reason, but I just haven't gotten a chance to take it back yet.
It's not the factions and the intelligence. It's intelligence people like realizing that everything is run by a corporate oligarchy and a company. Like it's controlled by a small group of rich people. and those are the people fighting everyone, and getting us to fight each other. So yeah, it's
scary, bro. I tell you what, I was scared at one point in my life when Ed was alive that I was going to get killed. You know that.
You can't be scared. I was never scared because it's like, you know.
Yeah, but were you ever approached by two guys? One was like 6'7", one was like 6'8", and I'll never forget it. I'll just never forget what happened that time. It's 2013. And I was like, who the fuck are you people? They're like, come with us. I was like,
I'll catch you next time. See, we can get Dave Marler. I want to go see Dave Marler's archive and go down to hang out with Strat, dude. That sounds like so much fun, man. I wish I'd.
Bro, he wants us to come down there and stay for a week. Let's do it. When you tell me when you can do it, because I know you have kids.
Tech, man.
Take your wife and stuff along if you can.
She's gonna be mad. I don't know. I gotta sell her because she was looking forward to going on back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, but because that's where Tesla.
Oh, bro, does she have any girlfriends that are good looking? Tell her to bring one along. I got rid of mine. Mine cost me $90,000 last year. That's when I decided I had to kick her to the curb.
Well,
$90,000, bro.
That's a whole nother story, man. Anyways, yeah, we'll have to figure it out because, man, I just don't know what to do with.
We got to go look at David Marler's collection. We have to do this because Michael said it's at least 4 or 5 times bigger than his, and it's 4 like giant, like trailer looking like things at a high school. They had to move it because Marler is a very smart guy, very well off. He had an addition put onto his house that was so large to house all this stuff. And it's just incredible. Jeremy, his book selection, there's not a UFO book supposedly that he doesn't have. You should see this book selection. The library is separate from the other buildings. It's
stuff on
unbelievable, man.
On David Marler's website, man. It's pretty
his favorite things, flying triangles. He didn't believe Ed the other week. Michael got me on with him, and we weren't live, we were private, and I talked to him. He just didn't want to believe Ed, and I told him, I said, here's what Ed told me, and he really enjoyed hearing the story I told him, about when Ed got off the plane, had the foggles put on, looked to the left. Ed said he thought there was a building there sitting there, and he noticed that it was hovering off the ground, and it was a triangle, but it wasn't the 650-foot version. It was the 300-foot version. And they put them foggles on. No one ever talked about them foggles. And then finally, a guy a couple years ago talked about them that was definitely confirmed at Area 51. P.D. Barnes talked about them. Ed was the first one to ever talk about them. Ed was the first one to talk about these plasma craft flying around something going 3,600 miles an hour like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. A lot of the stuff that Ed talked about, you have to go back and revisit this stuff because you didn't catch it, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, it ties into Ashton's story. That's what I thought right away when I saw Ashton's story.
That's pretty crazy because if that's the technology that they were using, and that's how far back it goes.
The early 70s.
Lots to investigate here. There's so much, and they'll keep it covered up. They won't ever let people friggin' get to the bottom of certain stuff or connect certain dots, man.
Go to David Marler's picture there, that triangle, real quick. Just go to it real quick.
Yeah, they should. That would be great.
Go down a little bit on his website.
Man. It's 2 hours, and I want to wrap this up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you're on that long. God, what time is it?
Yeah, it's like
11:30. I remember we used to stay until 6 in the morning.
And I know we could. I'll probably be up for a little bit more. We'll hang out. Don't leave just yet. But
no, I'm staying up all night, dude. I got something. I'm putting a motor in a car. I'm putting a motor in my turbocharger.